The lawyers told her not to say anything. She said it anyway. And now the courtroom doors that were supposed to stay closed are wide open. What Melania Trump just walked into isn't a media story, it's a legal tripwire. And it's pulling people down with her who thought they were untouchable. This doesn't stay in one courtroom, it doesn't stay with one lawyer. It spreads fast. And the people closest to Donald Trump are scrambling to figure out what she knew, what she said, and who heard it. You'll understand why in about 7 minutes. But first, you need to see how this started because it didn't start with her. 3 weeks ago, a sealed deposition in New York became unsealed, not by accident, by decision. Melania Trump's name was in it, not as a witness, as a subject. The case itself, financial disclosure violations tied to foreign licensing deals, the kind of deals that cross borders, involve shell companies, and require very specific paperwork. Paperwork that, according to the filing, was either missing or deliberately withheld. Her name appeared 14 times, and the lawyers representing the Trump organization immediately filed an emergency motion to reseal it. They lost. Here's where it turns. Melania didn't just show up in documents, she showed up in testimony, live testimony from a former business partner who worked directly on international branding deals between 2017 and 2021. That partner described meetings, specific meetings, where Melania was present, where financial structures were discussed, and where, according to the testimony, she signed documents that were never disclosed to federal regulators. The documents involved licensing agreements in China, the UAE, and Qatar. Not campaign donations, not political fundraising, business contracts, revenue streams, money moving across borders under her name, under entities she allegedly controlled or co owned. The Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network flagged 3 of those transactions in 2022. They've been under review ever since. And now, because of that unsealed deposition, prosecutors in the Southern District of New York have subpoenaed financial records tied directly to Melania Trump's business entities. This is the moment people miss. Melania has always been separate, quiet, out of the chaos. The media treated her like decoration. The public treated her like a bystander. But legally, she was never just the First Lady. She was a co-signer, a board member, a stakeholder in multiple Trump-branded ventures that operated while Donald Trump was president, and that's the problem. Because if she signed documents that weren't disclosed, if money moved under her name that wasn't reported, then she's not a witness in someone else's case. She's a target in her own. The Trump legal team knows this, and they're not treating it like a sideshow anymore. 2 of Donald Trump's top attorneys, who were handling his federal cases, have now been reassigned to Melania's exposure. That's not protocol, that's panic. Because if Melania becomes a defendant, everything changes. She can't invoke spousal privilege if she's charged separately. She can't refuse to testify if she's offered immunity. And she can't stay silent if prosecutors decide she's the weakest link in a financial conspiracy case that touches everyone around Donald Trump. Here's what's happening right now. The House Oversight Committee, controlled by Democrats, just requested all communications between Melania Trump's legal team and the Treasury Department. They want to know what she knew about the flag transactions. They want to know when she knew it. And they want to know if anyone in the Trump organization tried to obstruct or delay the federal review. That request went out 4 days ago. The Trump organization has not responded. Melania's personal attorney has not responded. And Donald Trump, who has been loud about every other legal case he's facing, has said nothing about this one. That silence is tactical, but it's also dangerous. Because while the lawyers are quiet, the prosecutors are not. The Southern District is moving faster than anyone expected. They've already interviewed 3 witnesses. They've already issued a grand jury subpoena for banking records. And they've already coordinated with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which is still running its own investigation into Trump Organization financial practices. This isn't parallel. This is converging. And Melania is at the center of it. Now, here's the pattern. This is not the first time a Trump family member has been pulled into a financial investigation they thought wouldn't reach them. Donald Trump Jr. testified under oath in the New York civil fraud case. Ivanka Trump was deposed twice. Eric Trump invoked the Fifth Amendment more than 500 times in a single deposition. Each time the legal walls got closer, each time the financial exposure spread wider, and each time someone in the family had to decide cooperate or protect the center. Melania hasn't made that decision yet, but the pressure to make it is building by the hour. The international angle makes this worse because this isn't just about U.S. tax law or campaign finance violations. This is about foreign business deals that were active while Donald Trump was negotiating trade policy, tariffs, and diplomatic agreements. China, specifically. Melania's licensing deals in China were approved by the Chinese government while Donald Trump was sitting in the Oval Office. That's not illegal by itself, but it becomes illegal if those deals weren't disclosed, if the revenue wasn't reported, if the relationships weren't transparent, and if prosecutors can prove that Melania Trump benefited financially from foreign government decisions while her husband held executive power. That's not just a violation. That's a corruption case. Here's what the courts are doing. A federal judge in Manhattan just denied a motion to delay the grand jury proceedings. That means testimony is moving forward. That means witnesses are being called. And that means Melania Trump's legal team is running out of time to negotiate. The judge's ruling was blunt. The passage of time does not erase the obligation to comply with federal disclosure law. Translation: being quiet for 3 years doesn't make this go away. The Republican response has been fractured. Some Trump allies are calling this a witch hunt. Others are staying silent. A few privately are telling reporters they're worried this could become the case that actually sticks. Because Melania isn't Donald. She doesn't have the same base. She doesn't have the same legal infrastructure. She doesn't have the same political armor. And if prosecutors offer her a deal, if they tell her she can walk away clean by cooperating, there's no guarantee she says no. The Democratic strategy is already shifting. Campaign operatives are watching this closely, not because they think it will derail Donald Trump's 2024 campaign directly, but because it gives them a new pressure point. Melania Trump on trial? That's a headline that runs for months. That's a courtroom camera that stays on. That's a story that doesn't need exaggeration to feel corrupt. And in swing states, where suburban voters already have questions about Trump's financial ethics, this becomes a narrative that's impossible to ignore. Here's the turn you didn't see coming. This isn't just about Melania. If the financial records show that Trump Organization entities were structured to hide revenue from foreign governments, then this case doesn't stop with her. It opens the door to racketeering charges. It opens the door to conspiracy charges. It opens the door to every deal, every contract, every offshore account that was ever tied to the Trump family business empire. The prosecutors know this. The defense attorneys know this, and Melania Trump, whether she admits it or not, is now the person who decides how far this goes. The next hearing is in 11 days. The grand jury is still active. The subpoenas are still being enforced. And the lawyers who told Melania Trump not to say anything 3 weeks ago are now trying to figure out how to undo what she already did. Because once the deposition is unsealed, once the testimony is on record, once the prosecutors have what they need, there's no taking it back. Melania Trump faces legal exposure tied to undisclosed foreign business deals involving China, the UAE, and Qatar. While Donald Trump prepares for trial, Republicans fracture and prosecutors in New York move closer to charges that could pull down his entire inner circle.